I first realised there was a problem with Henry when the health visitor picked up that Henry didn't have any words which were appropriate. Well, he had no words actually, just some sounds, so he was gradually falling behind the landmarks. We had all kinds of tests done and an operation to put grommets in because there was some blockages in his ears. He had a little bit of a tongue tie, so that was more surgery. So it was very much looking at intervention there and what could be done early on physically without realising actually initially that he had fundamentally a speech and language delay. He went to the local nursery school and the educational psychologist used to visit, and she really picked up and said to me that Henry needed some definite assessment, and that would include a speech and language therapist because he was so clearly behind the other children in the nursery school. He was statemented when he was about 5, and instead of staying in the school where the nursery unit was, he went straight to the language unit from there. It was a big relief to get him in a place where he was going to have some real help and support, because it had been a very difficult journey to get there. Going through the statementing process and the review process was always a very challenging time. I think one of the hardest things is to see the child's difficulties written down, and it's, even though you know them, to see it written down, particularly by a professional observer who's making comparisons with other children, is very challenging. The local secondary school, State Secondary School, is actually geographically incredibly close to us, and they have not a speech and language unit, but they have a learning for children with difficulties there. And I went to have a look at that, and amazingly one of the members of staff had been a teacher in the language unit that Henry had been to. So we had a lovely connection, and she knew Henry, but really what I could see, and she could see as well, that Henry would get lost in this huge school. So we had a lot of concerns, and I became very upset and almost terrified that this was all that was available. And amazingly, I was playing tennis one day and I was talking to the friends I used to play tennis with and about all this and my concerns. And the next week one of the women said, "I've seen this school in a paper, local paper, and why don't you get in touch with them?" And it was Morehouse. It was a residential placement that Henry had at Morehouse School. He was Monday to Friday boarder, so every weekend I would go down and pick him up on a Friday, take him back on a Sunday night. And I never thought I would have a child at boarding school. It's not something we've ever done in our family, and I think it really helped Henry's independence, and it was it was tough. I used to cry down the motorway every Sunday night, and he used to cry when I left him. But we found strategies, and we had advice from other people as well of what worked. At Morehouse School, Henry had regular speech therapy. They have resident speech and language therapists. All the teachers are speech and language aware, particularly if not trained, and the whole ethos of the school is about how to deal with that. At the end of the sixth form in Morehouse and building towards that, Henry knew that he wanted to study art. He's very talented artistically. My father was a professional artist, and so Henry seems to have inherited some of his talent as well and was very keen to pursue this. And we went to several art colleges where he had interviews, and we were absolutely thrilled that he got a place at Kingston Art College for a foundation year, which is one of the absolute best art colleges in the country. He really enjoyed it and wanted to go on and do a degree in illustration. So he got a place at Lincoln University to do illustration, and he was assessed by I think then it was the Learning and Skills Council, and he had support all the way through university in the Learning Support Department. He had a grant for some computer equipment, which included all kinds of things from things to help him take notes in lectures. He had extra support about how to do that, and Henry used it. So it's a great accolade of Henry's that he's always gone along when there was support there. He said, I'll take this and it'll help me. And it also took a lot of the pressure off the family at home of helping him with this and how much to help and how much not to help. And he got a 2-1 at Lincoln University. Henry's an illustrator and an art director in an advertising agency in Perth in Western Australia, and he really loves his work and is doing really well there. And that was a culmination of a lot for him when a few months ago there was an industry awards conference, and Henry was awarded his first industry award for the most successful advertising campaign for the Cancer Council for Western Australia, and it was a very, very proud moment for everybody. The enormous support that I've got from Afasic over the years has been a number of areas. I would say having the helpline there was invaluable, knowing that there were times when you could just pick up the phone and speak to somebody who had personal experience and professional experience, and so you could have sympathy, empathy, but also practical advice and guidance was really important. For me, the biggest message I would want other parents to have, particularly now, which is years on from Henry, though, is that with the rise of the internet and so much information, so many reviews, so many opinions available online at any time of the day or night, it's really, really important not to overlook the significance and the benefits, the huge benefits of actually meeting with other people who have similar experiences, for mutual support, whether it's tears, laughter, exchange of information, friends for your children. It's really, really important to do that.